And so whenever I started this channel, I got a few questions about how to set up your inventory as an invader. Uh, First thing you want to make sure you do is that you have the simplified view. So when I started, I was running around like this. All you have to do is you see at the bottom R3 simple view and click the R3 and you only have half of your screen. You can do the same thing for your inventory, item crafting, etc. So actually getting into the inventory, up top here I have what I consider my special weapons. Star Scourge is on pretty much all of my builds. You only need 26 strength and 5 intelligence to use the Ash of War. So you can see on this build at base I have 27 strength, no intelligence. If I go here, I two-hand it, nothing. If I toss on the Stargazer Heirloom and do it, I get the pull. You're still going to hit like a wet noodle with the actual swords, but the pull is great for gravity kills. And you can aim it. So for PvE, it seems like it always pulls it into you, but for PvP, uh, picture it like the sheath on the Nagakiba, and that's the direction it's going to go. So if I do this, everything is going to get pulled behind me, even if they're standing directly behind me. So if I do this, everything's going to get pulled to the right. So next, great sword. You need 22 strength to use it if you're willing to two-hand. And it's good for hyper armor trades. And if you have a team that's running at you with great swords and things like that, it's good to be able to just trade into them without having to worry about your poise getting broken. Twin Blade, I'm using the Godskin Peeler since it's a dex build. This is good for people with lower poise who aren't light rolling. The first hit and your chain's going to stun them, and it really just is a blender tool for if they have under, I think it's 57 poise. Power stance spears right here for catching light roll, or if I'm just really ticked at someone and want to finish it. So this is the first kind of important one. So I normally like to run around with the power stance Nagakibas, and I can hit the right bumper here and immediately turn it into get off me. So I'm running, people are on me, and I'm out of FP, so it does that. But so it's hard to see, especially in an invasion, if you go unsheath, you're running, and play waterfowl dance. This could be any great hammer. I have enough strength to use the great club. So I keep Royal Knight's Resolve on it simply because a large club or anything, any type of great hammer better than that with the hammer talisman here. If you use Royal Knight's Resolve and hit either a jumping heavy or most of the time a running heavy, it'll break through any shield, including a fingerprint shield. Blasphemous Blade's good for if people are chasing you down a hallway, you can just swap to it real quick. And even if it only phantom hits them, you're still getting FP back from that. Sacred Relic Sword is good for wide open areas, so this would be a good example. I'm running away from people or they're just standing in a group around where the grace is. I can just turn and burn, and it's normally going to hit someone. And then the Lion Great Bow is also another one I like to keep on all my builds, just because if they're standing under a ceiling like that right there, you can shoot it. Once again, out of FP. You can shoot it, and if it's under a ceiling or they're on a ladder, it comes down really quick. And it can potentially one-shot, especially if you have on Shard of Alexander the Arrow Sting Talisman, and if you have Ritual Sword, that works great too. So moving on from there, these weapons aren't as important. They're the ones I like to swap to on occasion if I want hyper armor. Uh, I've just been playing around with Power Stance Great Spears. I'm not great with them. They're supposed to be really similar to the Nagakibas, but I kind of have the vortexing down with Nagakibas a little bit better. Vikes is good for high latency, and the Knight's Greatsword is especially good for Power Stance Spears. Most of the people that use Power Stance Spears just do the standing or running L1, and you can pretty easily jump over it and hit them with the true combo. I have it blood infused on a dex build simply because the true combo can make the bleed proc really quickly. So these are, again, kind of my special weapons here. So with the Lion Greatbow, it really has no you're getting swarmed option. So I keep the Stormhawk under that simply because if I'm running and I have it, I can very quickly hit the Stormhawk, and a lot of times we'll run right into it. And I keep Stormhawk on every build. Again, kind of special use weapon, or occasional use weapons. The Arumi is good for getting that last hit in on someone if they're at a decent distance. And it gets crazy good deck scaling. Here, I have the Grafted Blades. So, on this build, I have enough points to spare. I can get to 27 strength, but I keep at least 22 strength on all my builds simply because I can very easily switch to the Star Scourge Heirloom here, which gives me 27 strength. Then I can two-hand it, hit the buff real quick, and then swap back to my primary setup. So this, on your 5th row down, is what I like to keep for my primary weapons. I normally like the Power Stance just because I don't like using hyper armor all that much. And the important thing here is it's one bumper down from your special use weapons. So I'm here and I can very quickly hit my left bumper to get up to my special use weapons here, and then right bumper to get back down. So under that I have my straight swords, just because these are really good for whiff punishing. And under that, I keep the Erdtree Great Shield, just because when you're getting spammed with magic, it's really useful to have that as something you can swap to quickly. And even if I only have 22 strength, I still use it because, let me get this off real quick. So I can be running, they're spamming it, and I can just two-hand it and start using the Asher War, especially for something like Elden Stars or the Skulls. This, they don't generally expect, and you get a shit ton of ammo out of it. So Misery Chords in between here, I'm really just trying to find a place for them that won't do too much harm. And they tend to fit in nicely between my Erdtree Great Shield and my Heavy Thrusting Sword. Forgot to mention, right over my main Nagakiba here that I like to use is the Halberd. So Nagakibas are very good at vortexing, and they do a lot of damage, but everything they do is pretty reactable, and the thrust there, if they're paying attention and not just panic rolling and panic rolling and panic rolling, it's very easy to react to. But if you're trying to chase someone down, you can very easily switch to that and start chaining running attacks together that are harder to dodge. And you also have running heavy there if you think they're trying to strafe it. Under that is essentially my ranged options. I have a seal. I have a staff. So this has no points into intelligence, but I keep a staff on me just because groups that are camping in a small area, you can very quickly switch to the staff and use Night Maiden's Mist. And that's essentially... didn't proc there. There we go. So that's going to cause pretty much constant damage in that area. You have to be careful because it'll damage you too, as you can see there. But it's essentially get out of that area. And Night Maiden's Mist only costs 14 intelligence, and it doesn't scale off of your intelligence stat. It only scales off of the upgrade. So, Jar Cannon, I prefer the Great Bows, but I have the Jar Cannon just in case I don't want to waste my Golem arrows. And just some quick status proc things there. Here I have shields. Some setups like Offstock are pretty bad against shield poke. So I like to be able to switch to that fairly easily. And then HP regen shield, couple parry shields there just in case I don't want to use the ones down there. And then a holy ground shield. No FP, keep doing that. So if you're out of flasks or you don't want to use one and you have a little bit of space, you can always use Holy Ground there. That's going to regen health, as you can see. You can throw down a Warming Stone, switch to that, and you're going to recover HP very quickly. So, just to give an example, do a little bit of damage to myself here, come here, and you can see how quick your HP regens. I should pop one of these real quick. Aside from that, I have my parry shields down here. These would technically be better standard infused, but I often confuse myself with which ones have golden parry and which ones have carry and retaliation. So I magic cold infuse my carry and retaliation ones just as a quick reminder. And the important thing about those is they are one bumper away from my main setup. So if I want to do a quick swap parry, I can always... And then on the far left, I normally only use the parry shield with my left hand one. And on far right, I have the Golem Great Bow, just so if I want to quick swap and do some ranged attacks, I can always... So that's how I have my inventory set up. Top ones are your special use weapons. These are, you'll use them occasionally, and so you just kind of want to know where they're at. Grafted blade right above your primary weapons. Secondary ones you like to use here. Archery Great Shield, Misery Cords, Heavy Thrusting Sword. Just so if I want to switch to a shield poke setup very quickly, I can. And it's also good for ranged spam. So a lot of people that just like to stand and cast, you'll have this as an option to hit your golden retaliations, and then once you get close, you can always use the heavy thrusting sword. Shields here with different Ashes of War, barricade shield on that one, Holy Land. This could also be a brass shield, but I keep that one as a twin bird just so I can visually spot the difference very quickly. Parry shields and Golem Great Bow. For my talisman setups, there's not as much of a rhyme and reason to it. I have my dueling setup here in my first two, and these are the ones I like to swap off of. So, bottom right, I have Erdtree Favor and Great Jar's Arsenal. I'd never swap off of those unless I'm confident that I have a good amount of distance, and swapping off of the Erdtree Favor won't get me fat rolling. Your branch sword talismans, I've seen people to where they'll have it to where you can do a bumper click, and they'll have rows of them so that they can always just bumper click, swap to them, bumper click, get right back to it. I never had that many drop for me and don't particularly care to, so I just make sure these are always in the top right. Bless Do for the slow regen. For invasions, for my dex build, I generally start off with the Dagger Talisman and the Two Finger. And that's because I want to be able to do a high damaging backstab quickly. And I don't want to get caught essentially with my pants down with the America Source Heal on and take more damage than I have to. So for invasions, the setup I generally like to do, replenish my flask real quick. So I generally, if I have a little bit of space from the host party, I'll start here, hit that buff, swap back, and then I'll swap to America Source Seal really quickly. Pop a Starlight Shard. And then I can use Blessing of the Erdtree, which regenerates a stupid amount of HP. Flask. Hit Black Flame Protection. And then once I swap off of America's Source Seal to the Old Lord Talisman, I have essentially full FP. And then this can go back to Dagger Talisman. And I have Black Flame Protection and Blessing of the Erdtree on, while only having a 25 faith naturally. The other 5 is coming from the Grafted Blade buff. Kindred of Rot. I like this simply because if I have that equipped, I can drop 2 Fetid Pots, heal that real quick, and now I'm doing 20% more damage. Stargazer, I have 27 strength naturally, so I can always put that on, swap to Star Scourge real quick, and essentially get a fairly quick swap for gravity kills. These are ones that I use very occasionally, but they're still good to have on them. When I don't have them, I generally end up in a situation where I feel like I should have them. Your resistance talismans and your arrows here. And now your bottom 3, these are ones that I like to be able to quickly swap to and then go back to what I was using. So if I want, there's a lot of small enemies around, I have Taker's Cameo, so that whenever the host party kills them, I get some HP out of that. Crimson Seed for if I have a chance to flask and use that. And then Bull Goat for if someone's two-handing a small weapon. I have 68 poise naturally, which can tank the second hit of two-handed or one-handed small weapons. And then if someone's using a two-handed one, I can put Bull Goat on, get 91 poise, and now I can tank the backswing of a two-handed small weapon. But that's generally the way I have my inventory set up. Only other thing worth mentioning is over here, I have my flasks set for triangle up and triangle down. So it's not like in previous Dark Souls where you'd have to fumble through your inventory to find them. I can just triangle up, healing flask, triangle down. I have the rotten meat. Oh, where was that? There we go. I have rotten meat on triangle left and frost pots to triangle right. So if I can't get right to someone and they're running away on low vigor, I can always just toss a frost pot and hopefully catch them with that. But that's the way I have my inventory set up. Everyone's going to have their particular taste. I've seen people use something called a left-handed setup, but I don't know enough about it to comment on it. Better players than me use it all the time and seem to like it. So, but thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time.